So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were the hot topic of conversation among guests at Saturday Night Live's.
Great. Why? What have you heard?
This was the first public appearance for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds since she filed her civil rights complaint.
The celebrities are gossiping about drama amid Baldoni.
Asking why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were even there.
I can also tell you personally, back when I was an intern at Glamour magazine, working under an editor, she said the most difficult person that she has ever worked with and the rudest person that she had ever worked with was Blake Lively.
Which proved exactly what she did and how she bullied her way to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin.
Hollywood thrives on scandal, but every once in a while, a celebrity manages to take self-sabotage to an Olympic level. Enter Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, who somehow thought it was a great idea to show up at Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary special, while Lively was in the middle of a $400 million lawsuit that could single-handedly ruin her career. Because when you're dealing with serious sexual harassment allegations, emotional distress claims, and an ongoing legal battle, the best move is obviously to crack jokes on live television.
Who else? Who else has a question?
I have a question.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Right? I mean, what better way to let the world know you're suffering than showing up in full glam, grinning for the cameras, and mingling with Hollywood elites? Oh, Ryan, if there was ever a moment to sit this one out, this was it. The joke wasn't just tone deaf. It was practically a gift-wrapped present for Justin Baldoni's legal team. Because nothing says I'm emotionally devastated like making a punchline out of your own lawsuit in front of millions of people. And it wasn't just the public that had questions. Hollywood insiders were downright confused. Why were they even there? And then, of course, there's the fun little detail that SNL's head writer, Colin Jost happens to be married to Scarlett Johansson, aka Ryan Reynolds' ex. Yep, that's the level of messy we're dealing with. If this was some kind of flex, it backfired spectacularly. But the real damage wasn't just the public side-eye, it was the legal implications. Baldoni's lawyers now had video proof of Lively looking completely unbothered, which is a slight problem when you're trying to convince a court that your life is falling apart. And just like that, Lively and Reynolds went from Hollywood sweethearts to walking PR disasters.
And Blake Lively's PR team wants us to know that everything that's happening right now is hurting Blake's feelings. Blake Lively sources say Justin Baldoni lawsuit is causing her and Ryan Reynolds severe anguish. In that article, we're told that Blake Lively is quote unquote emotionally zapped.
If Blake Lively's goal was to convince the world that she's suffering, her plan fell apart the second she and Ryan strutted into one of the biggest Hollywood events of the year like nothing was wrong. Because let's be real. When someone is truly dealing with distress, they don't waltz onto a stage in a designer gown, crack jokes, and schmooze with celebrities like they're at a cocktail party. They don't willingly put themselves in front of millions of viewers while actively fighting a legal battle that could cost them hundreds of millions. Even Hollywood insiders couldn't hide their confusion. Reports quickly started surfacing that many A-listers at the event were side-eyeing the couple, avoiding them altogether. Imagine spending years curating the perfect, wholesome, untouchable celebrity image, only to walk into a room full of people who now want nothing to do with you.
Are you guys buying that Taylor Swift would choose to remain silent if she thought or knew that the allegations that were being made against Justin Baldoni are true?
That's a PR nightmare even the best damage control team can't fix. But it's not just about the optics. It's about what this means legally. Lively's entire case hinges on her claims that the controversy surrounding It Ends With Us has caused her severe emotional distress. She claims she's being harassed, victimized, and unable to function normally. And yet, here she is, at one of the most high-profile Hollywood events of the year, smiling, laughing, and playing up her power couple status. It didn't take long for Baldoni's legal team to pounce, because now they don't even have to work that hard to discredit her. She did it for them.
We'll see what the documents actually say, because that's what we have are documents. Documents actually don't lie. People do. And it's important that everyone sees all of the documents that are involved in the case, because there are people that have been destroyed as a result of the allegations that have been made so far in this case.
All they have to do is roll the footage of her giggling next to Ryan Reynolds and say, "Does this look like someone who's suffering?" And if there's one thing Hollywood loves more than its own drama, it's tearing down people who thought they were untouchable. The irony here is almost poetic. Blake Lively spent years curating the perfect Hollywood image: wholesome, witty, effortlessly likable. The girl next door who bakes cookies on Instagram and playfully trolls her husband online. And yet, the second she actually needed public sympathy, it vanished faster than a Netflix cancellation. Because the reality is, people aren't buying it.
Why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were even there.
When someone is supposedly traumatized, overwhelmed, and fearing for their reputation, they don't go waltzing onto a stage like they're at their own farewell tour. And Hollywood noticed. The whispers started before Lively even stepped off that stage, with insiders openly questioning why she and Reynolds were there in the first place. It's one thing for social media to turn against you, but when your own industry starts pulling away, that's a whole different nightmare. And just like that, Blake Lively became Hollywood's latest cautionary tale. Because in an industry built on fake apologies, PR rehab, and strategic damage control, Lively somehow managed to do the exact opposite of what any crisis manager would recommend. Step 1 of surviving a major scandal: lay low. Step 2, don't make things worse. Step 3, whatever you do, don't hand your legal opponent a golden opportunity on live television. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds did all three. And now, Baldoni's legal team is having a field day. They don't have to prove Lively's emotional distress claims are exaggerated, they just have to point at SNL and let the footage speak for itself. She claims the controversy has made her life unbearable. But there she is, living it up at an A-list event. She claims she's being emotionally and mentally destroyed, but she's out here making light of it with her husband. She claims this lawsuit has ruined her career, but she's still pushing herself into Hollywood's biggest rooms. Even Hollywood. Insiders, who normally protect their own, are distancing themselves. Reports started trickling in that Lively and Reynolds weren't exactly the most popular guests at SNL's 50th anniversary. In fact, some A-listers reportedly avoided them altogether. And in Hollywood, that's the real sign of trouble. Once people start stepping away, the fall from grace happens fast. The question is Blake Lively too far gone to recover?
You know, someone asked me recently why this particular case has seized the world. It was just a perfect act of evil that was almost executed in broad daylight. The press was complicit. They almost got it done.
At this point, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are facing a problem money and charm can't fix. Because let's be real, Hollywood forgives a lot. You can throw tantrums on set, trash directors in interviews, and even get caught up in full-blown scandals, and the industry will still welcome you back.
She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
She didn't even pretend to be affected. Instead, she paraded herself in front of millions at a high-profile event, laughing, joking, and practically daring the public to call out the hypocrisy. And they did. Social media turned on her, calling her out of touch, manipulative, and just another Hollywood mean girl. Old interviews resurfaced, showing a pattern of her taking control on film sets and ignoring directors, fueling rumors that this lawsuit was never about justice, just power.
I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character.
And then there's the Scarlett Johansson factor, because making your first post-scandal appearance at an event run by your husband's ex's husband, that's not a great look for someone trying to downplay their reputation as a calculating social climber. The worst part? This didn't just damage her career, it handed Baldoni a massive PR win. Because while Lively and Reynolds were laughing it up on live television, Baldoni was nowhere to be seen. Reports claim he was in Hawaii with his family, staying out of the spotlight, looking like the picture of a man genuinely dealing with stress, and in the court of public opinion. That's a problem, because while one side looks measured, quiet, and reflective, the other looks like a desperate PR stunt gone horribly wrong. At this point, Lively's legal team must be panicking. Because now, the evidence isn't just documents, statements, or hearsay. It's video proof of her own behavior contradicting her entire case. And when this lawsuit finally reaches court, that SNL footage is going to be Exhibit A.
It's not going to be just a lawsuit. It's going to be the kind of lawsuit that is full of evidence, admissions, documents.
And here's where things go from bad to catastrophic for Blake Lively. Because while she was out there laughing, joking, and acting unbothered, the industry was watching closely. And if there's one thing Hollywood loves more than a scandal, it's predicting who's about to fall. Behind the scenes, Lively's Hollywood allies are getting quiet. You know that eerie silence when someone walks into a room and nobody makes eye contact? Yeah, that's happening, but on a career-ending scale. And let's talk about the Instagram unfollows. Because nothing screams "you're radioactive" in Hollywood like A-list names subtly cutting ties online. Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, suspiciously erased all traces of Lively from her social media. Feminist Hollywood figures, who were quick to support her allegations at first, are now missing in action. Even industry power players, the ones who normally rush to defend their own, are suddenly silent. And if history has taught us anything, this silence is loud. Because when Hollywood insiders start distancing themselves, it usually means one thing: they see the ship sinking and they don't want to go down with it. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, who was supposed to be the villain of this story, is quietly winning the public relations war. While Lively and Reynolds are out here pulling cringeworthy PR stunts, Baldoni is staying out of the drama, presenting himself as the wronged party. And for someone Hollywood was supposed to cancel, he's doing just fine. Because if this lawsuit goes to trial, and a jury has to decide who's more believable, the guy keeping a low profile or the woman cracking jokes on national television, who do you think is going to look more credible? Spoiler alert, it's not Blake Lively.
So you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which
except
one?
It's just,
Now I want to think of the scene.
Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
And tons of like Bodhi, which is with the suit now that I'm wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I borrowed it.
His suit?
It was meant for him to wear, but it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shot.
At this point, it's safe to say Blake Lively played herself. What was supposed to be a power move, a look at me, I'm fine moment, turned into one of the biggest PR disasters of her career. Instead of gaining support, she handed Baldoni's legal team exactly what they needed, proof that she's not the devastated victim she claims to be. Instead of rallying Hollywood behind her, she got side-eyed at SNL and quietly distanced from A-listers. Instead of controlling the narrative, she turned herself into the punchline. And Ryan Reynolds, he's now stuck right in the middle of the mess. His carefully crafted image as Hollywood's golden boy, the funny, self-aware, effortlessly likable guy, yeah, that's looking a little shakier now, because public perception is shifting. Instead of being the charming, supportive husband, he now looks like the enabler of a PR disaster. Instead of being the guy who always gets it, he's now the guy who cracked the worst possible joke at the worst possible time. And if you think Hollywood isn't paying attention, think again. This is how careers unravel. Not in one big, dramatic moment, but through a series of small, bad decisions that quietly turn a beloved celebrity into someone people stop rooting for. And once that happens, good luck getting it back, because in Hollywood, redemption arcs aren't handed out for free. So where does this leave Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? Well, let's just say, not in the position they thought they'd be in. Instead of coming out of this stronger, untouchable, and still beloved, they now find themselves dodging backlash, losing industry support, and watching their carefully crafted images take a serious hit. For Lively, this SNL stunt was supposed to be a power play, a way to control the narrative and show that she's still in charge. Instead, she's become the perfect example of how not to handle a scandal. For Reynolds, he probably thought he could just charm his way through this, crack a joke, make it all seem lighthearted, and go back to his usual routine. But now, he's getting dragged into the fallout. And for Justin Baldoni, he barely has to say a word. Lively and Reynolds are doing the work for him, because when this case finally reaches court, Baldoni's lawyers don't have to build an argument. They just have to hit play on that SNL footage, and in Hollywood, perception is everything. So while Blake Lively might have thought she was owning the narrative, she actually did the exact opposite. She turned herself into the headline, she made herself the controversy, and worst of all, she made it impossible for people to believe her, because if this lawsuit really did ruin her life, why was she laughing about it on live television? In the end, Hollywood will probably do what it always does, pretend to be shocked by its own scandals, act like this is all unprecedented, and then move on to the next disaster. But for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, this might be the moment. They realize not even Hollywood's biggest stars are untouchable forever.